Elizabeth and I want to thank ChiroSecure for always having our backs and having the backs of the chiropractic profession and helping us enlighten the world about chiropractic and pediatrics. So, Elizabeth is going to take a nap and we're going to keep rolling. Okay, girlfriend, have a good nap. Hey, I'm Dr. Monika Buerger, and I can't wait to bring you this exciting information today on ADHD and some alternative things you might want to think about, including how and why chiropractic care is so important in this population. So, we're going to rock and roll. Stay with me as we move through different things to think about. One is forward head posture. What? Why would we want to think about forward head posture with ADHD? Well, one, because there's more and more literature coming out tying those two things together. Interesting, right? But it makes perfect sense. And we're going to make sense of it for you right here, right now. So here's a scoop. We're seeing more kiddos and adults, obviously, with forward head posture conditions. One, because of technology, right? Tech neck, that leaning forward constantly, either on the phone or on the computer or what have you, especially since the advent of laptops. Think about it, even a laptop, adults working at home, especially since COVID, where they're sitting on the couch, sitting on their bed, and they're working from home on their laptop without good ergonomic support. So it's not just text neck and cell phones and what have you. So we've got to look at those dynamics. But for the little fiddle farts, during the neurodevelopmental trajectory of time, we want to look at proper neuromotor patterns, such as tummy time, rolling, and one in particular is being up on all fours, hands and knees, and rocking back and forth, which should occur somewhere between 9 and 11 months-ish. And that is going to help integrate the STNR reflex. Why am I bringing that up? Because the STNR reflex in particular is associated with forward head posture, having a hard time holding one's neck up. In fact, one of the presentations you may see in the classroom with these kiddos is where they have to kind of be like this and they're propping their head up. So we're going to just break that down for a minute, because going through proper motor milestones helps naturally integrate primary reflexes, which then the next level, the next cascade in neurodevelopment that should happen is, because they're doing these proper motor milestones, they're onboarding postural reflexes and postural control, which then the next hierarchy to happen is the maturation of cognition of the prefrontal cortex, which will then keep the brakes on those primary or primitive reflexes. So it's a loop. So proper neuromotor patterns in that first year of life help to onboard postural reflexes, negate primitive reflexes, including the STNR, which is going to help proper postural stability and postural control, which is going to be involved in maturation of circuits in the prefrontal cortex, which is needed to keep the brakes on those primitive reflexes. Okay? So I just finished one big loop for you. And this is going to help us with good posture control and help negate that forward head posture. Another thing that can contribute to ongoing forward head posture is tongue tie. And we've covered that before on some of the previous episodes here. So, okay, you got that down pat. So, forward head posture is associated with ADHD. There's more and more. I just got another beautiful study that was out, I think, the end of 2025 or the beginning of 2026, actually tying this abnormal posture with ADHD. So, from a neurological perspective, what are we looking at? Again, if we have poor afferent feed forward sensory input to the brain, particularly the cerebellum and the prefrontal cortex, those are key areas that are associated with ADHD. So if those areas of the brain are not getting that proper input, the proper output, the proper motor response looks similar, can mimic, or can be ADHD. In fact, when I started teaching, a gazillion years ago, almost 30 years ago now, bringing forth the whole sensory motor development and sensory motor integration into the pediatric chiropractic realm, I was basically the pioneer in this work. There was information back then calling ADHD or sensory processing disorder, the new ADHD, because the signs and symptoms so much overlap. So, moral of the story is, if they have poor posture control, if we have vertebral subluxations altering the sensory input to the brain, vertebral subluxations leading to poor postural control, actual poor posture, in this case, the form of forward head posture, due to poor biomechanics, ergonomics, etc., along with vertebral subluxations, your nervous system is dysregulated and your motor output can mimic and or be ADHD. So that is the chiropractic tie. That is a postural tie. That is a forward head posture tie into the world of ADHD. Now, another thing that I'm going to put on the docket here is I've been getting pinged so much lately on this whole thing on alternative nutrients and ADHD. So your basics, omegas, vitamin D, are huge in supporting brain. Choline, phosphatidylcholine can be another one, in supporting those neural circuits that are associated with learning, attention, behavior, etc. But saffron's making a big splash these days. And I've been, in the last month, I don't know how many practitioners have reached out to me, or I've seen it on various social sites, like, what's the deal with saffron and ADHD? Yes, there are some studies with regards to saffron and ADHD specifically. The mechanism is thought to be that saffron can help inhibit the reuptake of dopamine and norepinephrine in the synaptic cleft, thereby helping modulate symptoms of ADHD. But really, the underlying thing with saffron and so many other nutritional supports is the anti-inflammatory effect. It's the anti-inflammatory effect on the brain that can help modulate those neural circuits better, help decrease inflammatory load, and thereby seeing the positive results in learning, attention, behavior, and things like ADHD. Now, a couple of specifics I wanted to bring you is titration levels. First of all, your source of saffron. I'm the chief science officer and formulator for a nutritional supplement company. And so learning the ins and outs has been very fascinating. It really is about standardization. So it's not necessarily about going get a bunch of saffron and putting it in cooking, in a cooking context. Yes, that can be helpful. for many reasons, again, because it's a good anti-inflammatory. So, but for us, for looking at studies with regard to saffron and ADHD specifically, it's making sure it's a standardized product, okay? How it's extracted is incredibly important. And where's the sourcing from? So there's really some intricacies you've got to think of. For the kiddo weighing less than 30 kilograms, about 66 pounds-ish, you're looking at about 20 milligrams a day of saffron. That's, again, this is from the studies. So when you want to support the system for a specific purpose, not necessarily a specific condition, because we don't treat conditions, again, it's bringing that to the standardized what they're seeing in clinical trials. So less than 30 kilograms of body weight, about 66 pounds, about 20 milligrams a day of a good standardized saffron extract. Above 30 kilograms, you can do about, in kiddos, do about 30 grams of saffron a day. And the older kiddo and the adult, they're looking at anywhere from 55 up to 80, 88 milligrams a day of saffron. And again, those are what we're looking at from a standardized and a clinical trials purpose. So that's a scoop on saffron. I thought I'd address it here because, again, it's been interesting that it's been coming up so much. When I get emailed from people all over and pinged on social media, etc., for specific questions. So I wanted to tie together forward head posture, postural stability in and of itself, neuromotor development, and then some nutritional substrates to help support the nervous system with regards to learning, attention, behavior, and specifically what's in the media these days, ADHD. If you want to learn more about this, dive into my 6 Pillars Foundations of Neurodevelopment class. It is filled with tons of pearls, tons of ways to address proper neuromotor patterns, to look at them. What do they look like? What should they look like, especially in the first year of life? So scroll down, down you go, join the program, and really have a good, firm mastery of what it is to support the foundations of neurodevelopment. So I'll see you on the inside in that 6 Pillars class.
Today's pediatric show, Look to the Children, was brought to you by ChiroSecure.